Okay. Okay, good evening. Today we are starting with the next session and we are actually continuing with the need assessment chapter, the first domain of business analysis. And we have covered earlier a number of topics like, we reached until the identification of the stakeholder. And now, once the stakeholder has been identified, and naturally, most of the things we are talking about, we already know. But the only thing is that we are putting special emphasis on certain points as if we understand. Otherwise, these things are normal. We have been, using them otherwise in our life as well as in the project management. But here there is a special emphasis on certain things. Now, once you have identified the stakeholders, the next thing is to investigate the problem or the opportunity. And to do that, we must understand where to start the investigations. To investigate your problem and opportunity, we need to understand where to start the investigations. The business analyst focuses on learning enough about the problem or opportunity to adequately understand the situation. So it is just normal that when somebody poses you a problem even in normal life, one approach is that you just believe that person and take action immediately. And the other thing is, first you take the grasp of the whole situation, understand all the pros and cons, maybe take the view from other people's as if you understand the problem completely before you can start resolving it. Avoid conducting a complete requirements analysis at this stage. Now, we just need to develop our understanding of the problem, looking at all facets of it, but at the same time, remember this is not the complete requirement analysis. You should not go into paralysis through analysis. That is, you get into the detail of each and every requirement and start noting them down. This is not the stage. Here we are only trying to understand what the major problem is. As soon as that is clarified, you can move ahead. Situation is used here as a neutral word to describe the context about the program or the opportunity being investigated. So that is the situation. So we need to understand broadly what we are doing, and as I emphasized yesterday, neither take the decision without contemplating what is necessary to be thought about, and do not go into a lot of unnecessary analysis which is not required at this stage. Now, interviews and process modeling. Business analysts may conduct interviews with stakeholders to investigate the situation and learn about the current environment. This is simple. May also review any existing documentation about current processes, methods, or systems that support the business unit. Now, once you have done this, once you have talked to the people involved, the stakeholders, to investigate the situation, and then you have gone through the major documents which are existing in the organization about the process, how the things are happening currently in the organization, that is when you are able to do further processing. Now, as I told you earlier, process modeling is one technique used to document current as is processes of the business. So before you can come to the solution, you have first to record how the things are happening currently in the organization, and process modeling starts with recording or documenting the current status or the as is processes. And this is supposedly a process flow diagram of all the processes and interactions of the existing situation. Business analysts may monitor or observe performing their work in order to discover elements of the current as-is process. So you can go to the factory floor and you can ask them, show me how do you work, and you keep making notes, and ultimately you will be able to have a perfect current situation recorded. This technique is called, when you are doing it through, looking at the things, physically looking at how they perform, this is called observation. And all these things we are talking about, you can refer to requirements elicitation and analysis definition or the next chapter. Right? This was very general. Next is gather relevant data to evaluate the solution. Now, once you have recorded the as is situation, you must be completely at peace with it. You must have a very clear understanding how the things flow through this process. You have modeled the whole process. You have interviewed the people, you have seen their documents, you have observed how they work, and ultimately you have recorded and documented their as-is processes. Now, once you have the as-is processes, now we are going to gather relevant data to evaluate the situation further, as if we understand the to-be scenario. So once a broad understanding of the situation is obtained, it is necessary to gather relevant data to understand the magnitude of the problem or opportunity, also known as sizing up the situation. We have used the word situation before. Now we are saying sizing up. We are trying to measure how much good or bad the situation is, and that knowledge is required because we will be able to act upon it if according to the measurement which we get or the sizing up which we get. Lack of data can result in proposing solutions that are either too small or too large compared to the problem at hand. I hope that you understand. If we do not have enough data from the stakeholders, from our interviews, from the documents, from the observations, so we may land up coming up with a wrong solution, either too short a solution or too large a solution. Both ways, the problem is not properly addressed. In other words, the business analyst should attempt to measure the size of the problem or opportunity to help determine an appropriately sized solution. We are sizing up the situation as if we can come up with an appropriately sized solution, the right solution. When no internal data exists and when it cannot be feasibly collected, benchmarking may be performed. Now, I would ask you, what does benchmarking mean? Uh, Let me switch on your mic. Yeah. What does benchmarking mean?
Sir, it means the maximum threshold which can be touched.
Maximum threshold for what?
Um, uh, the maximum threshold for any, let's say, frequency, any data, um, whatever the measurement we are.
Okay. Okay, let me tell you, this benchmark has nothing to do with, this kind of measurement or thresholds. Benchmark always is about the competitors. You look around you, around your competitors, and see where do you stand and where do they stand and what is the gap. This is called benchmarking. Got it? Jadil, Adil, are you able to listen to me? बिल्कुल आप next line, if you just pay attention to the next line, it defines the benchmarking. Benchmarking is a comparison of the metrics or processes from one organization against a similar organization in the industry that is reporting or finding similar industry averages. ऐसा होता ये है कि benchmarking is always done against your competitors.
Okay.
So if it is not possible to measure your own performance, you say my performance is not better than my competitor, and my competitor is this much points higher than me, and another competitor is this much point higher than me. So in comparison with others, you measure where you stand. You understand this point?
ठीक है सर, ठीक है.
बेंचमार्किंग का अक्सर लोग गलत मतलब लेते हैं. नॉर्मली कहते हैं कि किसी स्टैंडर्ड के साथ हम अपने आप को कंपेयर करते हैं. You don't compare it with any standard. You compare it with your competitors and similar businesses, similar organizations who are doing the job like you. And it can also be possible that you are benchmarking within your organization with other departments or other sections. But the benchmarking is always comparison with someone.
All right, sir. But in our software industry, I'm just clarifying my concepts as well. That in our software industry, we used to do the benchmarking a lot. Okay? So the benchmarking in our software industry means that if I've made an application, for example, recently I've made an application of having remittances. Okay? So now I'm claiming that I can process 15,000 remittances per second. So this is my benchmark right now. After 3 months, I start doing some performance tuning and making it in a good way, more good way. Then I again do this test setting and everything. Then I come up with that my application is capable of handling 20,000 transactions per second. Now this is my benchmark. This is what I'm not comparing with any other product or any competitor.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that my application maximum threshold for it is this.
Okay. So you have established a threshold without having any comparison.
Yes, because my application capabilities are different properties.
Okay. I am telling you this is wrongly called a benchmark. This is not a benchmark. Even in software industry, we benchmark against. You see, you go and see the PC magazine and other magazines which do the benchmarking. What they do is they say we have taken all the latest laptops, 10 laptops, and then they are measuring the capabilities of each of the laptop, the memory in all of them, and the processor in all of them, and this and that, and then they compare them with others, and then they, rank them where each laptop stands in capability. This is called benchmarking. Because once you do the benchmarking, then you are able to see who is ahead of you and who is behind you. Now, if you want to progress, if you want to improve, then you have to beat your next competitor. Or if you want to be the market leader, you have to beat the top competitor. So benchmarking is always about competitors. It is never about any standard or any figure you take yourself. If you are taking that figure from the market, from the competitor, then it is okay. But if you are imagining this figure by yourself, then it is not benchmark.
All right, I got the point, and my concepts are clear now. Let's move forward. And I'm just disconnecting this call, and so I can hear you from.
Okay,
right.
Okay,
yes,
right.
Sir, please.
Can you hear me here?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, am I audible? Okay,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful. So we were talking about when no internal data exists, we do not have any data, and it is not feasible to collect any data at this stage, then probably you can compare yourself through benchmarking with your competitors. And the definition itself says benchmarking is a comparison of the metrics or processes from one organization against a similar organization in the industry that is reporting or finding similar industry averages. Data may not be readily available since competitors will guard non-public data closely. So it is difficult to ask for another organization to give their data to you. They may not like to give you, but the public data which is available that can be used. Benchmarking may also involve comparing internal organization units or processes against each other. So you can benchmark within your organization that we are producing this output, the other department is producing this output, so we are ahead or behind. And if they are ahead, then how can I perform better? Because then I have a benchmark existing that someone else is able to perform better than me. So I must be doing something wrong. So I have to improve and enhance my capability. Examples of data suitable for benchmarking include, but not limited to means that these are not the only examples. There could be other examples also. Like it says, cycle times for a business process to complete transaction volumes, occurrences of exceptions are problems and delays caused by the exceptions are problems. So you can measure these things. These are physical measures. How much time do you take in completing a business process or a transaction? How much, how much exceptions are occurring? How many exceptions are occurring in a problem? And how much delays are being caused. So you measure yours and compare them with others. So like, if queue time in a bank is 30 minutes, what is the queue time of other banks? Another bank, if they are offering 15 minutes queue time, then that means they are doing something better than you. And therefore, that is now your benchmark that you also will have to improve it to 15 minutes. And then further on, if you want to be better than that organization, you say we will improve it to 10 minutes. So you set your own benchmarks looking at the competitors. Like amount of money lost per transaction, per sale, by losing a customer, from cost to acquire a new customer. These are all types of data through waste and from call to a help desk. Then we also have a lot of data like website visitors, website conversions, sales inquiries, new accounts, new policies. So you have your data, you compare it with others, and you can benchmark against others. Potential increase in sales, market share, customer base and new contracts, market size and potential new market share, current competition. And you see, these kind of uh, metrics you have to devise for yourself. You have to identify these metrics to measure the performance of your processes. Competitive analysis of products offered, features and benefit comparisons, pricing and policies regarding the foregoing. Now, once the desired data is assembled, techniques such as Pareto analysis and trend analysis can be used to analyze and structure the data. Now, I hope you understand Pareto and trend analysis both. We have covered already in PMB. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Pareto analysis and trend analysis?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Is it possible I can connect you on Viber or something? I don't know. Hold on a minute, I'll try it. I'm calling you on WhatsApp.
जी सर
जी इसके ऊपर मैं कल बात हो सकती है? It is not being interactive. I don't understand what you are getting out of what I am saying. Anyways, so I was saying the business analyst initiates and facilitates the approval process. Approval process of the situation statement, which may be formal or informal depending upon your need. You know, if there is a procedure around it and you need to follow that and it is officially required to be done in a specific way, then it is formal. Otherwise, it can be informal. You can have a verbal approval and you can move ahead with it depending on the preferences of the organization. So your organization may tell you what they want. They want a formal approval or an informal approval. Approval may not occur upon the first review of the situation statement, and there may be a need to revise or revert the statement so that the stakeholders are in agreement with it. So first argument you get, first disagreement you get, you revise your statement and again put it up in front of the stakeholders. So this will go through many iterations and ultimately it will enhance and improve. And by the way, you can also use the Delphi technique which you was mentioning. You can also use the Delphi technique in establishing a situation statement. The business analyst leverages the skills such as facilitation, negotiation, decision making to lead the stakeholders through this process. We need to reach a decision, and to reach that decision, we probably have to, take them along. So we'll facilitate them. We will, if some stakeholder is stubborn enough, we will negotiate with him. We will help them make their decision, and ultimately, we will seek the agreement. Once the agreement is reached, then our situation statement would be approved. So you see how deliberate we want to go in each one of these processes. We don't want to miss out anything. Otherwise, normally we would, the steps I am telling you, we would not really follow them as the book says. But if we do, then there is a definite advantage. After that, you assess the current state of the organization. Now I am going into the detail of the current state. Problem has been defined. Now is the current state. Assess the current state of the organization means once the relevant stakeholders have agreed on the problem that needs to be solved or the opportunity the organization wishes to exploit, the situation is analyzed in greater detail to discover important components such as the root cause of the problem identified in the situation statement. So for root cause, what is the tool you will be using? For root cause, you may use Ishikawa, you may use decision tree models or any other model for that matter. As stated previously, the assessment is not a complete current state analysis. It is intended to understand the current organizational goals and objectives, root causes of the problems that prevent achievement of these goals and or any important contributors to opportunities that could help attain them. So the current state assessment which we are doing right now, that is still a high level thing. We are not doing a very detailed level analysis, but we are at least ensuring that all the goals are properly addressed. Any important contributors to the opportunity that could help us, they are identified, and all these things which matter for this situation are recorded in the current state assessment. After that, once you have captured the current state, you assess the organizational goals and objectives. Business analyst will do it. He will do it later. Right now, we have started for need assessment. The thorough analysis is going to come later. So here we started with what is the problem. Then in the last step, we try to assess the current state of the organization. After we had the situation statement, then we address the current state. And in the next step, we are trying to assess the organizational goals and objectives. We are just taking the baby steps. We are breaking the whole thing down into very small pieces. So after you have had a fair idea of the current status of the organization, now you look at the goals and objectives of the organization and assess how they can be, where they can be benefited and how they can be benefited if this problem is resolved or this opportunity is exploited. So depending on the organization, business strategy documents and plans may be available for review by the business analyst in order to acquire an understanding of the industry and its markets, the competition, products and services currently available, potential new products or services, and other factors used in developing organizational strategies. In the absence of such a plan, it may be necessary to interview the stakeholders to determine this information. So, you are trying to see what is the strategy of the organization, what is the purpose of the organization, how they are implementing it, what are their deliverables. So, collect data about goals and objectives of the organization. If that data is available in form of some document, good enough. Otherwise, you may have to interview the stakeholders. That's again, I will give you the example of NHA. When we went to them, we asked them that we need to interview you as if we can capture the data, and they did not allow us to interview. If they would have done that, we would have captured the whole thing. Not only the problem, but you see, for everything whenever I need data on any of the things, on the current state, on the goals and objectives, on the future state, I need to interview these people. I need to get in touch with them, or there must be some documented trail which I can follow. The organizational goals and objectives are an important input used by the business analyst, because they are something which I know as a business analyst that I have to keep everything aligned with the organizational goals and objectives. So I must not stray from the path when they begin documenting the business requirements. Goals and objectives that are relevant to the situation provide the context and direction for any change or solution that addresses the business needs. Business requirements are goals, objectives, and high-level needs of the organization that provide the rationale for why a project is being undertaken. Business requirements are defined before a solution is determined and recognize what is critical to the business and why. For additional information pertaining to business requirements, we will work more, as you were asking earlier, where we will do all that. We will do that in the requirement elicitation and analysis. So those things, further details about the requirements will be addressed in requirement elicitation and analysis, and that is the fourth section, that is third domain. Organizational goals and objectives are often revealed in internal corporate strategy documents and business plans. You see, you understand that these goals and objectives are not just in the mind of someone. They must be and they should be written down in some document, and those documentation you have to explore and see. Corporate strategies translate goals identified in the business plan into actionable plans and objectives. So whatever is the goal of the organization, goals and objectives of the organization, they are converted into actionable plans as if they can be achieved. Goals are typically broad-based and may span one or more years. Objectives, on the other hand, are used to enable goals. These are more specific and tend to be of shorter term than goals, often with duration of 1 year or less. So goals and objectives have been very clearly defined by this paragraph. It says goals are a kind of a bit larger thing, and this is the target we have to achieve, and to achieve that target we must have certain objectives, and those objectives will be lesser in size than the goal, because these objectives will contribute towards the achievement of that goal. And we also understand already that goals could be short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. Long-term goal addresses the vision of the organization, where we want to be after 25 years. That is a long-term goal. The medium-term goal could be spanning like up to 5 years. And the short-term goals could be like 1 to 2 years. And for each goal, we will have the objectives defined. So it is further break up how this goal is to be achieved. So we make 2, 3 or 4 objectives, which if achieved would qualify the goal to have achieved. An organization accomplishes its objectives in various ways, including through programs and projects. And this I have debated quite in detail with you, that organizations usually uh, achieve these goals, or for that matter bring change into the organization through projects and programs. And projects and programs are the tools for bringing the change. The most common link between goals and objectives and programs and projects is the business case. So the thing standing in between the organizational goals and objectives and the programs and projects is the business case. And who makes the business case? Business analyst makes the business case. Figure I'll be showing you shows an example of a hierarchical relationship between goals, where goals have one or more objectives and may have any number of business cases and various technical plans to support them. Approved business cases are used as input to the programs and projects. However, not all projects have a business case associated with them, but this section will focus on those that do. So look at this diagram. You can see the goal has a number of objectives. Each objective can be further subdivided into certain business needs for which the business cases will be developed, or maybe there is a marketing plan or a technology plan or a distribution plan, and under those plans also there might be some business needs which could again lead to business case. Remember, business need and business case. Business need can occur at any level, and business case is the feasibility of that business need. Then we have within these goals and objectives, I hope you understand that we always say we should have SMART goals and objectives. What is SMART? If goals and objectives are specified or are not clear, sometimes it is complex, where we cannot really clearly define the goals and objectives. Then we must follow the SMART rule. It is a well-written goals and objectives are also said to be SMART, as summarized in figure 2.2. So what is SMART? you should be specific. Specific means it should be clear, concise, and observable outcomes are needed. Then it should be measurable. Whatever you are writing, that outcome should be testable and measurable.
Okay.
Okay. Then achievable. The outcome should be realistic. Can you see the slides or not?
Yes, sir, I can see the slides. Can you hear me? I can see the slides. Can you hear me?
Okay. Right. So we said it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable. Do not determine a goal or objective which is impossible to achieve. The outcome should be realistic and resources devoted so it can be achieved. Sometimes the A stands for attainable and sometimes it is called achievable or assignable. But it all means the same. R stands for relevant. Outcomes should be aligned with the organization's mission, vision, and strategies. It also can be realistic or reasonable. Time bound, a specific time period should be attached to the outcome in line with the business need, sometimes referred to as a timely. So we want to achieve these goals and objectives in a timely manner. So we talked about the goals and objectives and we said they should be SMART goals and objectives. So they should follow all these rules S, M, A, R and T. An example, the previous example it has taken, it said the insurance company had a goal of achieving 5 billion in revenue within 5 years with a 20% net profit margin. Company also had the following supporting objectives for the coming year. Increase the revenue by 10% by December 31. This is what? This is a 5-year goal. A 5-year goal necessary to help them reach their 5-year goal. So, by 31st December, this is midterm goal. This is the short-term goal, 31st December. And it is satisfying that 5-year goal, which is shown here in the example, 5 billion in revenue within 5 years with a 20% net profit margin. So we are trying, out of that 20% net profit margin, we are trying to increase the revenue by 10%, and this is within 1 year, which will contribute to our midterm objective, our goal. Decrease overall claims cost by 5% in the same time period. Reduce time needed to process claims by 6.25% in each quarter of the year. So, howsoever an organization is running, when we determine such kind of features, our goals, our objectives, which are to be addressed, then we can really enhance and improve the organization. So we can raise it from the current status to a future status. But again, I would say that the statement, the situation statement should be absolutely clear. If you have grasped the situation wrongly, all the goals and objectives you are going to determine ultimately may not be useful. In summary, goals and objectives are important to need assessment because they provide the context and provide direction for any change that addresses the business need. Ideally, except for unforeseen problems and opportunities, all programs and projects directly support the stated business goals and objectives. So we are saying that whatever happens in the organization, we are bound by the business goals and objectives. We must align ourselves No matter we are doing whatever in the organization, we have to be aligned with the goals and objectives, with the exception that there would be certain unforeseen problems and opportunities that will cause deviation. Programs and projects are linked to the goals and objectives through the business case. Business cases are assembled as one of the final tasks in the need assessment. So once the business case is prepared, the need is established, is been assessed. Therefore, the business case came into being and are discussed in further detail later on in this section. Even without a formal business case, goals and objectives should be leveraged to guide the direction of business analysis. You see, the goals and objectives are not dependent on business case, but business case is dependent on goals and objectives, and goals and objectives should keep doing their job. Now, whatever we will, do after a business case has been developed, that will impact a new change in the organization. Therefore, ultimately, certain goals and objectives may change, but for the time being, we are following the existing goals and objectives. SWOT analysis, again, something we already know and you understand. In the absence of the formal plans, business analysts may use a SWOT analysis, because SWOT analysis does not use a lot of calculations or numerics. It is simple analytical analysis in which we uh, objectively address the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the organization. And it is a very common method used at strategic level as well as down there. SWOT uses the 4 categories. Now those 4 categories, as I said, strengths, weaknesses, these 2 are internal, and opportunities and threats, they are external. SWOT analysis investigates the situation internally and externally. Internally, it shows where the organization has current strengths, because if something is internal, it is in control. So if we do not know our current strengths and we learn about them, then we will be able to, okay, from where? From the very beginning? Okay.
Yes, start from the beginning.
In the absence of formal plans, the business analyst may use SWOT analysis. If you do not have data, then you can otherwise analyze what are you good at, what are you bad at, what are the problems, what are the opportunities. So this will help to assess the organizational strategy, goals, and objectives. SWOT is basically a tool for assessing the organizational strategy, goals, and objectives. And it addresses the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and it is a very common method used in many areas. As I said, the 4 categories, the strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization and they are in control of the organization. But the problem here is that we are sometimes unaware of our strength, and we are also sometimes unaware of our weaknesses. If we can classify and identify our strengths and weaknesses, the strengths will let us know how we have to build on. What should we build on? If I'm good at speaking, then I should work on my speaking skills rather than my writing skills, because that will give me more advantage according to Pareto also. Whereas the weaknesses which are revealed, that let us know where we lack something. And if there is a drastic gap, we have to bridge that gap. So those weaknesses has to be eradicated. These are the internal things, strengths and weaknesses. As far as the opportunities and threats are concerned, they are not in your control and they are external to the organization. So they will just happen. The only thing I can do is that I be prepared to face the situation and if it is likely to rain, I must be wearing a raincoat. So I must be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities and to protect myself from the threats. So in the opportunities and threats, we identify those opportunities and threats, and we then talk about what is our action, what will we do about it. Okay, I'm sorry.
हेलो
जनाब, सर लगता है
सर मैं आपसे
बहुत खराब है आज। कब से आवाज नहीं आ रही है आपको?
सर वो जो की फर्स्ट स्लाइड आपने आई थी,
मैं तो 2 दफा बोल चुका हूँ, दोबारा वापस गया, फिर दोबारा
नहीं शॉर्ट की फर्स्ट स्लाइड जो आपने दोबारा बोला था, मैंने पूरा उसको कवर कर लिया था।
अच्छा,
ठीक है। ये सेकंड शॉर्ट एनालिसिस की जो बात कर रहे थे, उसमें आप बता रहे थे स्ट्रेंथ और वीकनेसेस जो है वो इंटरनल टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती है, और बहुत सारे लोगों को अपनी वीकनेसेस भी नहीं पता होती है।
एग्जैक्टली।
ये बात आगे बस फिर से लॉस होती है।
ओके, अभी वहां से आवाज आ रही है?
सर चेक कर लेता हूँ, बोलेंगे प्लीज।
जी, आ रही है आवाज?
जी सर आ रही है।
चले मैं उधर से बोलता हूँ। Right. So internally we talked about the strengths and weaknesses, and externally we have opportunities and threats. Now you understand both of these things are risks, positive risk and negative risk. So when you are identifying the opportunities, then you must come up with all what can happen to you which is good, but which is not in your control. You can't control it to happen to you. But when it happens, how can you take advantage of it? And you understand how the advantage can be taken from the opportunities. They could be underserved markets, you see, termination of a competitor, product line, discovery of a customer, some new technology coming into the industry. So you can take advantage of all these opportunities if you take appropriate steps. So those opportunities must be identified as if we can start thinking about the steps we can. Similarly, I must also know and understand the threats. So all those threats which are negative risk to you and which can cause your business any harm, you must protect your business from those threats. And ultimately, you will only when you have identified them, you can start considering taking any action. Threats may include increased market share by the competitor, new products offered by the competitor, mergers and acquisitions that increase the competitor size and clout, and new regulations with potential penalties for non-compliance, and so on and so forth. So all of these things, if they have been properly, identified, we are in a better position to address each and every one of them. Just look at the next slide, and here you see that these are actually to be done on one big piece of paper. You divide the paper into 4 portions. Top left corner you call strengths, top right corner you call weaknesses, bottom left is opportunities, and bottom right is threats. Why are they written on the same page? Why? Because when I'm trying to think of some strengths, when I think of strengths, I also sometimes come across weaknesses, as soon as I remember a weakness, I should immediately write it into the column of, in the box of weakness. Sometimes while I am talking about my strengths, and then I realize that if this opportunity is there, I can be more strong. So that opportunity should immediately written down into the column of opportunities, and so on and so forth. So when we are identifying each one of these items, that item may remind us one of the identifications in any other area, any one of the other three areas. So that's how we keep getting it populated. That is exactly why it should be done on a single large piece of paper. And whatever you are writing, that should not be very long sentences. Let it be very brief. We can elaborate later on all these points, but here on the chart, on the SWOT analysis chart, you should not write a lot of detail. So it has written here the problem is insurance claims are too slow. So what are the strengths? Our strengths, our company strength. In our company, we have positive customer experience despite slow cycle time, right? That means we have loyal customers. This is because of our other capabilities. We have established the positive customer base, and although our insurance claims take time, but this positive thing somehow takes care of that. But naturally, if we can process the claims faster, our clientage will rather increase. Second strength is rate of claims. Claims fraud is among lowest in the industry. In our organization, claim frauds are very minimal. We are leaders in that in the industry. That is again a great thing you have a credit on. We have technically savvy IT staff. So we have good IT people in our staff. So all of these things have to be capitalized. Weaknesses, we have staff shortage. So probably when you discuss a weakness, you know that we need to have more staff. Policies regarding claims are fairly inflexible. So it simply points out that we may have to make the policies more flexible. Then the weakness is difficulty focusing company to new claims investigation method. So when company is working on one claim, any new claim, they have difficulty converting to that. So these are the strengths and weaknesses I have. Now what are the opportunities and threats open to me? Opportunity is that mobile device technology is widespread and accepted. And how can I benefit from it? Maybe I can have a mobile application developed, and on that I can, process the claims, and that would probably require lesser number of staff also, because most of the business would be on a mobile application. Mobile device proliferation may mitigate staff shortage. So if I can somehow induct the mobile devices into my system of working, the problem of staff shortage will be, which is my weakness, will not bother me. Needed software is relatively easy to program and are purchased. If you look at the threat side, we see that competitors have already using the mobile capabilities to report the claims. So probably I have to do something different than them, because if they are doing it already and I start doing the same thing, I will hardly be able to catch them, not be better than them. So yes, I'm not saying we should not do it. We should do it, but we should bring some innovation into this. Second threat it is written is competitor advertising that emphasizes fast claims processing may cause policy decline, right? So uh, competitors are advertising that fast claims may cause policy decline. We cannot process the claim fast because it declines the policy. Well, I can take this threat and maybe convert it into an opportunity, or I can reword it in a better manner and try to address it. Probably those people in organizations who are dealing with business analysis and strategy, they usually go through the SWOT analysis. And SWOT analysis, there is no calculation you can see. There are no metrics here. This is just, theoretical things. So out of these theoretical things, you can come up with a number of solutions coming out of it. And then you can elaborate on each one of those. Then is the relevant criteria. Okay. Okay, relevant criteria. Goals and objectives provide criteria that may be used when making decisions regarding which project are best pursued. When goals and objectives involve revenue generation, then programs and projects to expand markets or add new products are key. When one of the major objectives is to decrease cost, then programs or projects for process improvement or cost estimation are important. For example, one objective of the insurance company is to increase revenue 10% by September 31. In this case, revenue is a highly relevant criteria. The organization needs to sell new insurance policies and possibly expand its markets. Therefore, programs and projects that involve sales will be significant. Initiatives that support expense reduction are more important too because the company also needs to reduce expenses. Criteria that were identified when reviewing the organizational goals and objectives will be useful later when comparing and rank ordering potential solution options. You see, the goals and objectives are instrumental in giving us those criterias, or we can seek out those criterias from the goals and objectives and work towards that. And for example, you say increase revenues by 10%, revenues 10% by December 31. If I look at the statement alone, this is a definition of a program. It is a benefit we are looking at. We are trying to earn the benefit of 10% revenue. And whatever we do to make that benefit realize would be the projects within the program. Or it may be converted into a product and we could say this is a project. So for example, you have realistically realized that the increase of revenue can be done by opening up a new branch. So opening up a new branch will be the project if it covers the whole benefit. Then is a perform root cause analysis of the situation. A root cause, as you understand, we already talked about the Ishikawa and all that. You have the problem in front of you. You have to find the root cause of that problem. And if you can rightly hunt it down, then it would be much easier to address it. And I did talk about it in the theory of constraints. I said that a link is as strong as its weakest link. Sorry, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So we have to identify the weakest link. That is the root cause of the problem. And we have to fix that. And only then our problem will be resolved. If we keep addressing the wrong link, this will not solve the problem. Once a situation is discovered, documented and agreed upon, it needs to be analyzed before being acted upon. So we have to have thorough analysis. After agreeing on the problem to be solved, the business analyst needs to break it down into root causes or opportunity contributors so as to adequately recommend a viable and appropriate solution. So far, we have not talked about solution. So we are trying to recommend a viable and appropriate solution, and that can only be done if I understand the root cause or the opportunity contributors. For purposes of brevity, this practice guide will treat root cause analysis and opportunity analysis as one topic. Although they are two separate subjects, but let's talk about them as one topic. To clarify these terms, let's say what is root cause analysis and what is opportunity analysis. Root cause analysis is an analytical technique used to determine the basic underlying reason that causes a variance, defect, or risk. When applied to a business problem, root cause analysis is used to discover the underlying cause of the problem so that the solutions can be devised to reduce or eliminate. Opportunity analysis is a study of major facets of the potential opportunity to determine the viability of successfully launching a new product or service to enable its achievement. Opportunity analysis may require additional work to study the potential markets. There are a number of techniques used to perform these root cause and opportunity analysis, and some of those tools you may be already using. Some of those tools may have never heard about. So we need to learn those things, because you may have 10 tools to do root cause analysis, but you have to check in your current situation which is the best, most appropriate tool to be used in this environment. And also you have to see whether your organization allows the use of a specific tool or not. I did probably refer to you the 5 whys. 5 whys, what are these 5 whys? I say whenever there is a problem, ask why. The person, for example, a person says, I cannot go to school. Why? Because my motorbike is out of order. Okay, why is it out of order? Because I did not do the maintenance and it got out of order. Okay, why did you not do the maintenance? Because I did not get the time to maintain it. Okay, so now we understand that the problem was not the motorbike, but this person not giving enough time to the maintenance. And ultimately he waits for the motorbike to completely go down, and then he tries to fix it. So if we understand the root cause of the problem, and why also theoretically takes us back to the root cause. A business analyst does not always need to literally ask why up to 5 times. Instead, the 5 whys are used to begin with a problem and ask why it occurs until the root cause becomes clear. Quite often, business people bring solutions to the project team, but it is essential to first clarify the business problem. So, don't look at the solution, but the problem. With a technique like 5 whys, before considering the solution, consider the solution later. Right now, we are more bothered about the problem. So 5 whys will clarify the problem. Other techniques may be needed to refine the root cause, but 5 whys is a good starting point. It is important to ask why using appropriate questions and to limit the actual use of word why, because it can cause the interviewee to become defensive. If I keep asking why, so he will become defensive. So I may, frame my question in a different way while I am digging the answer for the why. For example, in an insurance company, 5 whys dialogue might be like this. The sponsor the question is, we would like to add the ability for policyholders, sorry, policyholders to submit claims from their mobile phones. We figure it would spend up claims processing considerably. So the business analyst, after having heard the sponsor, he wants to ask why. So he frames his question in a way. He says, sir, I'm new to this team. Can you help me understand why this is a problem? Then sponsor describes, well, the problem is that claims take too long to process. With a mobile application, we can encourage customers to file claims as soon as an accident or storm happens. Plus, there are other features of smartphones we can exploit, like using their camera and video technology. Now, business analyst says, what do you think is a major delay in processing claims? So, what the sponsor has done, he has suggested, he has jumped to a conclusion that we need mobile technology for addressing the claim. He says, business analyst says, what do you think is the major delay in the processing claim? So he is directing the sponsor back to the problem. He says, why your processing claims are being delayed? Please clarify it to me. Rather than talking about the mobile, first tell me what is the reason that your claims are processed slow. Sponsor says, partly it is a lag between the time of an incident and when the policyholder files a claim, which can add several days to a week to the process time. The delay also results from our corporate policy that we need to investigate every claim we think will exceed certain limits. That tends to be 80% of all claims. Right. So there are two parts to the problem. Number one, the accident has happened and claim is filed after a couple of days. So this much delay, days or weeks, this much delay will naturally delay the process to start. And the other part of the problem is that they say that if a claim is beyond a certain amount, they take more time. And he says that more than 80% of all the claims are in this path. They take more time. Now the business analyst says, can you tell me the reason behind the need to investigate so many claims personally? The sponsor answers, we are a pretty conservative company and to avoid fraud, we like to personally view the damage. Now the business analyst says, what other alternatives for speeding up claims have you tried in the past and why didn't they work? Sponsor says, well, we tried skipping the investigation for all but the highest claim amounts and our losses jumped way up. We also tried encouraging customers to call us on a dedicated line from their mobile phones, but for some reason they didn't seem to have our number handy, or who knows completely why, but we didn't get enough calls to warrant continuing. Now the business analyst asks the fifth why. What did you attribute? What did you attribute the higher losses for? So sponsor answers, we found out that many of the damages were not as bad as the claims indicated. I think we overpaid by around 20% if I remember correctly. So you see, from this discussion, what do you get? This discussion is actually asking those 5 whys and it serves to clarify the whole problem. This will help us frame the situation statement, frame the opportunities and problems out of it. So this is how we can go about it. Cause effect diagram, we have already studied it, we know about it. It decomposes the problem or the opportunity to help trace an undesirable effect back to its root cause. These diagrams have help to break down the business opportunity or problem into components to aid understanding and generally provide the main aspects of the problem to analyze. So how do they look like? Fishbone diagram is an example of that. Formerly called Ishikawa diagrams, these diagrams are snapshots of the current situation and high-level causes of why a problem occurs. And when you identify one of those high-level causes, then you can further go deeper into it and find the sub-causes. And so ultimately, you will reach the problem. There are various ways of depicting a fishbone, like in figure 2.4. This is one of the ways. Insurance claims are too slow. Why? Is it the problem with the process, or the people, or the measurements, or the systems? So he found that there was no problem with the measurement and system, but there was something with the people and process. Okay, let's first discuss process. What is the problem with process? It says the processes are rigid. Why the processes are rigid? It requires in-person inspection, physical inspection, and there is a lot of cumbersome paperwork. So if this is the problem, then we can address either one of these causes or both of them. But the major cause which has been identified is that it requires in-person inspection. So this inspection, in-person inspection, how can it be either eradicated or done faster? If we can find that, we have the solution. Okay, let's see if it was the problem in people, it was due to inadequate staff. We do not have that many people for inspecting physically all the claims. That's why we are slow. That is one of the reasons. Why don't you have adequate people? Because we have less budget. Because the turnover is very high. And why is the turnover very high? We have low claim agent salaries. We pay less to the claim agents. So they leave us early. And that is one of the reasons. So inadequate staff is my problem. So you see how Ishikawa helped us do the same job we were doing from SWOT analysis, from this analysis, from that analysis. But this helps us serve that same problem. Then we have the interrelationship diagrams. And interrelationship diagrams are, you can say, these are special type of cause-effect diagrams and is helpful for visualizing complex problems that have seemingly unwieldy relationship among multiple variables. There's a lot many things in the problem, and all those things are related with each other in various ways. So you have to identify which is the most sensitive area amongst these problems. Here is a guideline for using interrelationship diagrams. Identify the potential causes and effects up to a maximum of 10 to be practical. Draw lines between the effects and their causes. When two factors influence each other, understand which of the two is stronger. Are you getting me? Number
Yes,
one,
sir.
we have to establish relationship or cause and effect amongst all those variables. I said, I have a problem. There are 5 different variables here. And this affects that and that affects that, and that's how they're linked. So this is the cause, that is the effect. That is the cause, and the next one is the effect. So this is how we connect them. You see, look at this example where there are a number of factors and they are connected. So here you can see budget cuts affect limited ways to accept record and claims, low salaries, and shortage of staff. Now, low salaries also impact shortage of staff. Limited ways to accept the record impacts the cumbersome paperwork and scheduling delays. Budget cuts are affected by in-person inspection required, and in-person inspection required also affects the scheduling delays. You see, there is a complex network, and this will point out the most critical area where you find the maximum number of arrowheads. And maximum number of arrowheads are in 4.0, scheduling delays. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows coming here. So this is the thing which is most affected. So that's why it is shown in bold. Then we have process flows. Again, I hope we understand the process flows. We keep using them. Process flows are used for many things, primarily to document and analyze current and future state. Another use for these models is to analyze a process for the ways in which a current process contributes to a given problem. You see, you can hunt down the problem in the process flow diagram. You can say, okay, I'll just track where the inputs, outputs are going, and this leaves here, and this thing goes there, and from there, where is the problem in the system? You can dig out through the process flow. Moreover, process flows also help you to provide you the existing view and the future view. And the difference between the existing view process flow and the future view process flow, it is what the job is required to be done. So this is an example of a process flow. This is process flow with root cause analysis example. The root cause is done on the process flow. So we are using the process flow for finding the reasons. So okay, what happens? We start, we receive a call. What is the call wait time? Is the call wait time, if it is more, why is it more? Because of the limited agents. Why are we having limited agents? Because of the budget cuts. You see, we did the Ishikawa here. Then after receiving call, the next step is determine claim eligibility. Once that is done, the next step is record accident details. And here some internal interfaces are required. So what are those internal interfaces? They may be causing problem or delay. Then is find open times for claim adjuster. So when they find that time, the schedule matches or not. If it is matches, schedule appointment for examination is made. If not, then you continue searching for that and you save the claim. When the schedule appointment for examination has been made, the examination appointment is held, then the appointment is confirmed. At a point in time, the team comes and examines the damages. Now, when the team comes, maybe weeks after an accident, due to shortage of staff, due to not enough trained adjusters, and that is due to the budget cuts. So you take a photo of the damage, you complete the claim report. In the claim report also we have problem. Paper reports are out in the field. No mobile capabilities are there. Okay, once that is done, you file the complaint report. Reports often delayed 1 to 2 days. Why? Internal interface only. So the internal interface comes out to be a leading cause, and the budget cuts comes out to be a leading cause, and no mobile capability. So budget cuts are coming from 3 different directions. No mobile capability is from one direction, and internal interface only is from 2 directions. So 2 processes have indicated. So I can draw a Pareto here. I can say the biggest problem is budget cuts, second biggest problem is internal interface only, and the third problem is no mobile capacity. I think we should close it down here. We are leaving it on determine required capabilities needed to address the situation. So I hope we can leave it here. And I also hope that tomorrow once we meet, we are able to communicate better. Because today we had a lot of problem listening to each other. So is it okay, Adil?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. Let's call it a day. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.